India is fast-growing market for our business.
In India, we have various Seiko communities, watch collectors, watch connoisseurs. We have youth groups who are there who are Seiko lovers. What was a challenge for us in India was when we first started selling Seiko in India, it was always that uncle's watch.
Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel Lux Insider with Anita Khatri. And today I am indeed honored to have firstly Mr. Kawada. He is the Director and Senior Executive Vice President of Seiko Global Division. And Mr. Niladri.
Hi.
He is the President and COO of Seiko Watch India. Indeed, what an honor for me. So to begin with, a very interesting watch that I'm seeing on your wrist.
Yes.
Which watch is this?
Yes, this is the new introduction of last year, King Seiko.
King Seiko.
King Seiko.
Okay.
King Seiko was first introduced to the market back in 1961.
Okay.
Then in the middle of 70s, we phased out once. Then we revitalized King Seiko collection to our lineup back in 2022. Then last year, we reintroduced this King Seiko Banach collection.
Okay.
So this is
Yes.
like a, the interpretation of our original Banach back in 1970s. So at that time, colorful dial, then those like a faceted crystal was the kind of, big watches among the watch aficionados. So we are happy to bring this back to the market.
No, I like the construct of the lugs and the bezel. It's very, very different.
Yes. This is like a bezel is like a case shape, then very nice polished case.
King shape.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
There is also a watch which was inspired like a lion mane. It reminds me of that. This watch was that. I don't know which one was that. but,
That was what we had launched in Geneva.
Geneva,
But
right.
that was a Grand Seiko.
Grand Seiko,
Yeah.
yes. In this time of, when I look at luxury watchmaking, it's always Swiss made. But in that, in that particular landscape, for Seiko to be a Japanese manufacturer and to live up to that, it's not exactly an alternative, but in the same voice, if I had to tell you how challenging that is for you to, maintain that.
Yeah.
And it's not really compete, but you
Yeah.
have to stand
we do,
there. in that.
we do respect our counterpart in Switzerland, but as a unique Japanese watch brand, we like to show our heritage, history, craftsmanship, because we are one of the few like a real watch manufacturer coming from Japan, which is very unique to the industry. Then we have more than like 140 years history. Actually, this year we celebrate 145th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Of the
Congratulations.
our establishment of our company. Then we our founder Mr. Kintaro Hattori, his motto is always one step ahead of the rest. So we keep this his motto in our mind, all the employee from the production development, design, and all the area. So we keep brush up our offer to the consumers.
Indeed, what you said is right. Seiko is one of the vertically integrated manufacturer
Yes.
in the world, and I would say that I don't know whether that's an advantage to have that vertical manufacture to your advantage, or is it in the philosophy to maintain that precision that you stand for?
Of course. So this is what we are proud of, as a Seiko.
Correct.
Yeah.
Niladri, question to you. Sure. Your journey has been a long one.
Yes.
But India, I would tell you that in every experience that I take, on an average about 30 new young watch connoisseurs that I meet in a month, 26 or 27 out of 30 are in awe of Seiko as a brand. Your journey has been a long one. Do you have any such moment which you are not able to forget?
Well, I had a watch background coming from Titan. as far as Seiko is concerned, when I first came into Seiko, of course, Seiko comes with a lot of heritage, a lot of craftsmanship in our products, technology, innovation. We are we have created histories in horology over the last century,
No
whether it's
doubt.
the advent of the quartz watch to the world, or to the movements like spring drive, kinetic, all of that. And we are going forward on that with
Solar
Astron.
one.
Yes, solar. So we've been doing that. What was a challenge for us in India was when we first started selling Seiko in India, it was always that uncle's watch, because
You're absolutely correct.
yeah, because people used to say, my uncle has that watch or the father has that watch, and it's still running perfectly. And it was a real compliment that spoke about our quality, spoke about the trust in our product and our heritage over the years. So it's not something to be belittled. But while that was the case, one had to make Seiko relevant to the youth of today. And earlier, even 10 years ago, perhaps Seiko was in India was being bought mostly by the 30 to 45-year-olds. Today, the people who are buying Seiko are 25 to 30, if I had to put this thing to it. So definitely the youth of India has warmed up to this brand. The reason we are growing at a CAGR of around 55%, I think, is because 65% of India is below 30. And if my average consumer base is 25 to 35, that gives us a great, base to grow from. That gives us a great strength to grow from. So it is great for me today, and it's very encouraging that the youth have really caught on to this brand, to the products, to the philosophy of the brand, while not forgetting the heritage. So people who are slightly more experienced always prefer the traditional Seiko designs, but the youth are warming up to our diverse watches, to our technology-led watches, and to the design of the watches in general. Vanak, in fact, what Kawada-san was talking about, we can't have enough of this watch. We keep asking Tokyo to give us more and more, because before it reaches our shores, it's all sold. That's the demand for the watch. And it's a nice problem to have, frankly, Anita, when your watches sell before they reach the shore. And we would love to have such problems, more and more of such a problem in the future. Of course, we will try to satisfy the demands of the consumer as much as we can. But I think the greatest challenge was to get that paradigm shift from being a slightly elderly brand with a lot of heritage to being a really vibrant youth brand, which is for tomorrow and today.
Fabulous, Niladri. That is true. And this is 145th anniversary.
Yes.
So which number boutique? How many boutiques we have in
So
India?
we have in India, this is our 20th.
Okay.
20th boutique, but this is our largest boutique by far.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is around 1,400 square feet.
Okay.
And as you see, it's right at the heart of Bangalore. MG Road is 2 seconds away, actually. And it's in a place where people can comfortably park their cars, come in, sit down, relax, and buy a watch. And for us, the experience of buying a watch is as important in the luxury segment or the affordable luxury segment as the product itself. Of course, the product's quality, the product design is a given. But in India, what perhaps is lacking, as you know, is retail. The quality luxury
The
retail.
environment, the
the
retail
environment
experience.
experience. So that
Yes.
makes a lot of the customers go outside India and buy the watches. Today, as you know, we get all the watches manufactured by Seiko in day zero in India. So we have to give the same experience we give to a customer buying a watch in Ginza or buying a watch in New York or in Orchard Road in Singapore or Regent Street in London. In India, we can't take them away from that. So that same experience we want to give them in St. Mark's Square in Bangalore.
Well, congratulations to both of you. But while he spoke about India and how the journey has been, I would like to ask Mr. Kawada that when it comes to India, India as a market, from the global perspective, how do you look at India as a growing market, and how do you address to this increasingly aware customer? This customer is also a part of community. Now there are a lot of communities which are mushrooming. So are you looking at communicating and doing something unique? Where does India stand when it comes to global?
First of all, India is one of the most important market as a global strategy because India is fast growing market for our business. outside of Japan. Then India is such an emerging country. We have so many like young consumers. Then we can meet those like a young consumer who are new to the watch industry.
You do interact and meet them?
No, actually, like through all the social activities and communications, we are reaching out to those Indian young consumers. Then since Seiko has such a wide range of the price range from like a 5 sports to the King Seiko, so we can go to the next step. For those like a new consumer for the watches, for the 5 sports, next step, he can go to prospects or King Seiko further.
Yeah.
So we have such a potential. Then we like to show our rich history or uniqueness of Japanese brand to the Indian consumers. So as a kind of Japanese characteristic, in the past, we are rather humble to not to mention about our culture or our heritage,
Yes.
but now with this beautiful setup, we can communicate more about our brand story. So that's our mission we gave to Seiko India.
But would you look at something like a community of Seiko?
Yeah, so in India we have various Seiko communities, watch collectors, watch connoisseurs. We have youth groups who are there, who are Seiko lovers.
Okay.
And there are an innumerable number of them. I can't even, put them on my fingertips. So they are constant.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so they are constantly monitoring what is happening in the Seiko world, so as to say. And it's not rare when, a watch is launched, Anita, and let's say our head of retail, Rajesh, gets many calls from these customers and say that this is a new watch coming up and please block a piece for me. And this is the unique feature of this watch and what a brilliant job you
So
all
they
have
are
done.
aware even before it's launched?
Even before it comes to India, when it's announced, they have done their research, they've done. So the Indian
Okay.
consumer is a very educated consumer.
That's
it's not
true.
someone, you know that from your
Yes.
experience. They don't generally come up and buy a watch. Of course, there are people who come up and see the watch and feel nice about it. But most of these serious watch buyers, they know about the product. And sometimes me and Rajesh are sometimes stumped and say, okay, we didn't know this little part of it, and it's no harm accepting that. So that's the level of passion that goes into loving a Seiko watch or caring about or being a community, Seiko community. That's the level which they go to. I mean, it's rare. I'm a football fan, as you know,
Yes.
and I follow Arsenal and various
Yes.
Arsenal football
Yes.
club,
Yes.
and I'm passionate about that. And I've seen that same passion, which is rare.
For
For
watchmaking.
Seiko, the brand.
Yeah,
You
Seiko
see
brand.
this only with cult brands. You see only with brands like Apple. You see, typically, which we call the cult brand, the Apple, there's Harley Davidson. And I think I'm very proud to say that our brand is reaching that level very soon. So it's a great thrill to have that.
Yeah, pat your back for that
Pat
also.
them.
Well, Mr. Kawada, I would
Yes.
ask you one question on behalf of a watch community. The community that I interact with is called JAM, and they often ask me this question that 2017 Grand Seiko was born. And why did we decide to have a Grand Seiko versus Seiko?
Actually, 2017, Grand Seiko became an independent brand from Seiko.
It was always existing before?
Yeah, so Grand Seiko was born back in 1960 in Japan.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but
Okay.
only available inside of Japan.
Okay.
Then we decided to bring Grand Seiko outside of Japan at the 2010, right? Then after several years, we have decided to make Grand Seiko totally separate from Seiko.
Okay,
Yeah.
but if I had to define what is the differentiation, if I had to define a customer for a Seiko, a customer versus Grand Seiko, how would
So
it be different?
of course, like due to the price segment, so Grand Seiko we consider as a kind of luxury brand. So where Seiko covers wide range of the price range up to maybe $3,000-4,000 US, right? So then also what we offer for the Grand Seiko is different from Seiko. So we are looking for like a ultimate practical watches for Grand Seiko with the high visibility, high accuracy, high durability, and those. So then uniquely produced everything by ourselves. So totally like a in-house like a manufacturing. So that
That's
the
true.
characteristic of the Grand
I'll
Seiko.
just add a point to this. As far as Grand Seiko is concerned, what amazes me, Anita, is like Kawada-san said, we are a 60-year-old brand, but we were mostly restricted to Japan and that part of the world. And just recently, a few less than a decade or more back, we have launched it worldwide. What amazes me is today it's one of the fastest growing brands in one of the biggest markets and most competitive markets in the world, which is the US. And India also, it's growing extremely fast. This year, we've grown Grand Seiko by 50%.
I'm not surprised because I am talking about these young 30 people who come to me. Ma'am, can you tell us, why should I buy Seiko versus Grand Seiko? Can you tell me the difference between the two? And then I am addressing that. But I just wanted to confirm that, and today my audience will be watching it. So it's best that they hear it from him and you.
So when it comes to Grand Seiko, I always say, and I tell your audience to do that, see, we are biased. To be very frank, myself and Kawada-san, however much we try, we are Grand Seiko lovers and we represent the brand. So I would say that with the young audience, you please go to on YouTube, your YouTube, and just type 3 words: Grand Seiko comparison. Nothing else. Seiko comparison. Nothing else. Anyone's YouTube, anyone's. Just type 3 words, and you will find there are reviews, there are evaluations, there are watch reports. 95 of the 100 are compared to only one brand, which is Rolex. Now, we are talking about a brand which is quintessentially the luxury brand of the world. Of course, there are brands which are more expensive than that, but that it is. And we are talking, and it's the truth. That's how I, address Grand Seiko to people. And when you do that, it's so amazing. Whether it's connoisseurs, whether it's watch aficionados, whether it's normal reviewers, the only brand they compare with is, or 95 of the 100 is with Rolex. And I'm not saying all the comparisons are positive. I won't be so foolish to say that. But just the fact that we are getting compared to that brand, and with our just of tenure, being properly in the international market, just shows that that product and that brand has something intrinsically in it where people are getting attracted to it. That's substance.
No doubt about it. When it is Japanese made, I think the trust element is far superior. You have garnered that trust for sure. So my question again comes back to Mr. Kawada. 20 years from today, how would you see Seiko positioned?
Okay. So, in next 20 years, I'm expecting Seiko to grow further in the premium segment.
Premium segment?
Yes. Seiko is now, used to be Seiko is considered kind of like a mid-range products, but with thanks to those like a global collection, King Seiko, Prospex, Presage, and so on, consumer consider Seiko as kind of premium segment product.
So it will go upscale? It will
go
a little bit upscale?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so
it's today affordable luxury already, and we will keep that position.
Yes, it is affordable luxury, and luxury is Grand Seiko.
Yes,
so
exactly.
it's affordable luxury.
Yeah.
But it will still continue for the quality which it has.
Of course,
the precision that
quality
it
is
brings,
the key.
The innovation that it
and
brings.
Value is the key for the Seiko.
Any other message that you have for our audience who are watching you today, Mr. Kawada?
So thank you very much for I love India market and this country. So I really appreciate your support to our brand, and hope you continue to monitor what we can offer you. Then I hope you like our new product in coming years.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was lovely meeting you.